I never imagined I'd be in this position, not in a million years. But here I am, standing on the precipice of something I can't take back, and it all started the night Adam came home. It had been 5 years since I last saw my brother-in-law, Adam. Back then, he was still a wild, untamed version of the man I knew. Always unpredictable, always stirring up trouble. He'd gone off to Europe for work shortly after Andrew and I got married, and I didn't think much of it. He was Andrew's brother, after all, and my loyalty to Andrew had always been rock solid. But now, with Adam standing in my living room again, everything felt different. It was a quiet evening, and I was busy preparing dinner when I heard the knock at the door. Andrew had asked me to host a small family gathering to welcome Adam back. I'd been looking forward to the night for weeks, but as I opened the door and saw Adam standing there, something inside me shifted. I had to force myself to smile. "Adam," I said, trying to sound casual, though my heart was already hammering in my chest. He grinned at me, that signature smile that had always been so damn charming. "Laura, it's been too long." I tried to swallow the flutter in my chest. "Too long," I repeated, stepping aside to let him in. When he brushed past me, I felt the heat of his body against mine. It was a simple touch, barely a whisper, but it sent a jolt of electricity through me. I stepped back quickly, telling myself it was nothing, that it was just the closeness of family. But I couldn't ignore the feeling that had awakened inside me. Dinner went smoothly, or at least I tried to make it seem like it did. Andrew and his friends were laughing in the kitchen, and I did my best to stay engaged with the conversation. But all I could think about was Adam. His voice was like a magnet, pulling me in with every word. He was different, but not in the way I had expected. The years had only sharpened his charm, made him even more irresistible. I caught myself glancing at him more than once, stealing quick peeks from across the table. His eyes met mine, and for a split second, I saw something in them. Something I couldn't quite place, something that made my breath catch in my throat. After dinner, everyone scattered, talking and sipping their wine, but I couldn't seem to shake off the energy in the room. I found myself standing near the counter, my mind a million miles away, when I felt a presence behind me. I turned, and there he was, Adam, standing just a little too close. "You're quiet tonight," he said, his voice low, like he was teasing me. I tried to play it off, but there was something in his gaze that made me feel exposed. "Just tired," I said, forcing a smile, but the words felt wrong. They didn't cover what was really happening inside me. He took a step closer, his eyes never leaving mine. "You know, you don't have to pretend with me. You can always talk to me." His words lingered in the air, hanging between us like a secret neither of us wanted to acknowledge. But something about the way he looked at me made me want to step forward, to say something. Anything. The intensity of his gaze was enough to make my heart race. His hand brushed mine as he reached for the wine bottle, and I felt a spark shoot through me. I pulled my hand back, but he didn't seem to notice. "You've changed," he said, his voice quieter now. I couldn't look away. "So have you," I whispered before I could stop myself. Adam took a half step closer. I could feel his breath on my cheek, warm and steady. "I missed you, Laura," he said softly. That was it. My heart skipped a beat, and for a moment I was frozen in place, caught in the gravity of the moment. I wanted to kiss him. I wanted to do something, anything to close the space between us. But before I could make a decision, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching. "Hey, you two, what's going on in here?" It was Andrew. His cheerful voice shattered the moment like glass, and I quickly pulled away from Adam, my breath coming faster than before. I forced myself to focus on Andrew, plastering a smile on my face. Adam, too, quickly masked his expression, his usual smirk returning. "Nothing, just catching up," he said, but I could hear the hint of something else in his voice. He was hiding it too, just like I was. Andrew didn't seem to notice the tension, thankfully, and continued talking about his plans for the weekend. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed, that he had changed, and that maybe, just maybe, I had too. Later that night, after Andrew had fallen asleep, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. My heart was still racing from the encounter in the kitchen, from the way Adam had looked at me, so intensely, like there was something unspoken between us. I tried to calm myself, to tell myself it was nothing. He was just being his usual charming self, right? But deep down, I knew it wasn't nothing. It was everything. The next few days were excruciating. I avoided Adam as much as I could, but it didn't help. Every time I saw him, I felt that electric pull, that dangerous attraction. I knew I shouldn't feel this way. It was wrong, and if Andrew ever found out, well, I couldn't even think about that. One evening, Andrew was working late, and Adam asked me to take a walk with him. I should have said no. I should have told him I was too tired, but instead, I found myself agreeing, my heart pounding in my chest. We walked in silence for a while, the cool night air brushing against my skin. My head was spinning with all the thoughts I couldn't quiet, and I was trying to ignore the way my heart raced whenever Adam was near. "You've been distant," he said, his voice low. "I can feel it, Laura." I didn't answer right away. I wasn't sure what to say, but the way he said my name made me feel like we were the only two people in the world. "Maybe I'm just tired," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, but I knew it wasn't the truth. "I'm not blind," Adam replied softly. "I know you feel it too. This tension, it's been building between us for so long, Laura." Before I could respond, I heard it, the sound of tires crunching on gravel. "Andrew's home," I murmured, panic rising in my chest. Adam stepped back, his eyes dark with something I couldn't quite name. "You can't hide from it forever," he said, his voice almost a warning. I turned just as Andrew's car pulled into the driveway. My heart was in my throat. I felt like I was caught in the middle of a storm, with no way out. As Andrew approached, I tried to act normal, but everything in me felt off balance. Adam seemed unaffected, though, like nothing had happened. But I knew. I could feel it. He knew, too. And just as Andrew stepped onto the porch, I felt the air between me and Adam crackle. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. "Laura, Adam," Andrew called, his voice cheerful, but I noticed the strange look in his eyes like he was waiting for something. "Why do I get the feeling there's something going on between you two?" Andrew asked, his tone sharper than I'd ever heard it before. My stomach dropped. Adam and I both froze, and I could feel the weight of Andrew's gaze on us, unblinking and suspicious.